Good day, learners! Welcome to Module 3 about Neoclassical Architectures. Here are the objectives for today's lesson. 1. Identifies the different types of neoclassical architectures and their features. 2. Illustrates the characteristics of neoclassical architecture by sketching or drawing. 3. Expresses the significant values of different art styles of architectures and the representative artists from the neoclassicism. Before we start, let's have a pre-test. In this activity, you have to write true if the statement is correct and false if incorrect. Are you ready? Let's start. Number 1. In the purest form, neoclassical architecture was a style principally derived from the architecture of classical Greece and Rome. Is it true or false? The correct answer is true. 2. A classical block aesthetic was also known as Beaux-Arts style. True or false? The correct answer is true. 3. Charles Garnier and Henry Labrousse are two famous architects of classical block style architecture. True or false? The correct answer is true. 4. Palladian buildings were based on Robert Adams' style of villa construction. True or false? The correct answer is false. 5. Temple-style buildings was based on an ancient temple. True or false? The correct answer is true. Now, let's have a review on our previous lesson. So, in this recap, you have to identify the title of the pictures of sculptures shown in each slide. Number 1. What do you call this sculpture? Very good. This sculpture is called Psyche Awakened by Cupid's Kiss. 2. What do you call this sculpture? Good job! This sculpture is called Christ. 3. What do you call this sculpture? Wow, that's right! This sculpture is called Washington. 4. What do you call this sculpture? That's correct! This sculpture is called Lion of Lucerne. Now, let's start our discussion. Today's topic is about neoclassical architecture. Neoclassical architectural styles started in the mid-18th century. It turned away from the grandeur of Rococo style and the late Baroque. In its purest form, neoclassical architecture was a style principally derived from the architecture of classical Greece and Rome and the architectural designs of the Italian architect Andrea Palladio. Here, let's talk about the types of neoclassical architecture. First, we have the temple style. Temple style in building design was based on an ancient temple. Many temple-style buildings feature a peristyle, meaning a continuous line of columns around a building, a rare feature of Renaissance architecture. Here are some of the examples of temple-style buildings. We have the Pantheon in Paris, British Museum in London, and the La Madeleine de Paris. Another style is called the Palladian style. Palladian's buildings were based on Andrea Palladio's style of villa construction. Some of the buildings feature a balustrade, which is a railing with vertical supports along the edge of the roof. There are vertical supports within a balustrade known as balusters or spindles. It is also a classical method of crowning a building that has a flat or low-lying roof. Robert Adam is one of the famous architects in this era. He was known as the Palladian architect of the neoclassical era. He designed two well-known American civic buildings, the White House and the United States Capitol. He had also designed many country houses. Here are the examples of Palladian-style architectures designed by Robert Adams. So we have here the White House and the United States Capitol. These mansions illustrate that while Palladian architecture shares certain basic features derived from the Villa of Palladio, it takes diverse forms. Another architectural style is called classical block style. The building features a rectangular or square plan with a flat roof and an exterior rich in classical details. The exterior features a repeated classical pattern or series of arches and columns. The overall impression of such a building was a huge, classically decorated rectangular block. Classical block aesthetic was also known as Beaux-Arts style, since it was developed principally by the French École des Beaux-Arts School of Fine Arts. Classical block architecture also flourished in the United States, particularly in New York. Henry Labrosse is a famous architect of classical block style. His masterpiece is the Library of Saint Genevieve. Another famous architect of classical block style is Charles Garnier. He designed the most famous classical block of all, which is the Palais Garnier, a neo-Baroque opera house. Here are other buildings designed in classical block style. We have the New York Library and the Boston Public Library. Now that we're done, let's have some activities. For your activity 1, I will show you some pictures in the next slides. Observe carefully each picture and try to determine which among them are neoclassical architecture inspired by marking check inside the box and X if not. Then classify the type of architecture. Are you ready? Let's start. Number 1, we have Bureau of Science and Insular Laboratory. 2, Iloilo Customs House. 3, Sorsogon Municipal Building. 4, Paco Train Station. 5, Iloilo Provincial Capital. 6, San Fernando Provincial. Number 7, Cebu Normal School. 8, Negros Occidental Provincial Capital. 9, Lawag Normal School. 10, Zamboanga Normal School. 11, Manila Post Office. 12, University of the Philippines. 13, American High Commission Mansion. 14, Baguio Government. Now, let's do your activity number 2. This activity is called I Am an Architect. So here, you will design your very own neoclassical house. You may select from the given examples of door, window, and column designs. So here are the example designs that you may want to recreate. Next. Your art activity will be graded using the following criteria. First, quality of artwork. We have visual impact. We have punctuality and neatness. Good luck! Now, let's have a wrap-up activity. Draw the feature of the neoclassical architecture. So we have the type of neoclassical architecture. On the left side, we have the temple style, Palladian style, classical block style. On the right, you have to draw the feature of the neoclassical architecture given. Have you been to the National Museum in Manila? So did you know that it was designed in neoclassical style by Filipino architect Antonio Toledo in the late 1930s? Do you think Filipino neoclassical architects like Antonio Toledo is as good as other Western neoclassical architects? Why or why not? What makes the Filipino architectures unique? You may write your answers in your notebook. Now, for your ending activity, we have post-test. So, true or false? Write true if the statement is correct and false if the statement is not true. Number 1. Temple-style buildings were based on Andrea Palladio's style of villa construction. The correct answer is false. 2. Classical block style is a type of neoclassical architectures with rectangular or square plan, flat roof, and exterior rich in classical pattern designs. The correct answer is true. 3. Palladian style of building features a balustrade along the edge of a roof. True or false? The correct answer is true. 4. The White House and U.S. Capitol are examples of Palladian-style buildings. True or false? The correct answer is true. 5. The features of temple-style buildings are continuous line of columns around the building. True or false? The correct answer is true. 6. Robert Adam is a famous temple-style architect in his time. True or false? The correct answer is false. 7. Charles Garnier designed the most famous classical block of all, which is the Palais Garnier, a neo-Baroque opera house. True or false? The correct answer is true. 8. In its purest form, neoclassical architecture was a style principally derived from the architecture of ancient Egypt in medieval period. True or false? The correct answer is false. 9. The overall impression of Palladian building was a huge, classically decorated octagonal and pentagonal block. True or false? The correct answer is false. 10. Classical block aesthetic was also known as Beaux art style, since it was developed principally by the French École des Beaux-Arts, School of Fine Arts. True or false? The correct answer is true. So that's all